playing role-playing video games, where you play as a mage, sorcerer, or wizard, and those where you pray to gods and raise the dead.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. May Allah bless you. Video games in general, that's a long discussion with regards to Muslims playing video games. And it's not just about Muslim youth, but Muslims in general. A grown man plays video games, all right? So, with regards to playing a mage, or a sorcerer or a wizard or sorcerer's apprentice and things like this, King Arthur or whatever, whatever game one is playing, tayyib, and raising the dead and so on and so on and so forth. The general problematic issues with video games apply to most video games, whether it's nudity, whether it's music, or whether it's even deeper than that, such as the waste of time. Not saying that all video games are haram, nor am I saying that every recreational act or sport or even some type of pastime is a waste of time. There's certain video games that are no different than certain physical activities, which may sharpen and enhance and heighten the mind and reaction and intelligence. But we're talking about the general concept of just wasting hours and hours and hours playing a game, all right? And oftentimes there's no real get back. You're not getting anything back that can be converted and recreated into positive Islamic energy. As we explained before, recreation, to recreate energy. Tayyib? So there's problems with video games in general. All right? Whether it's this, that, or that, like we just mentioned. As far as you're playing a game in which your concepts of kufr and shirk, even if it isn't the same ruling as you making the kufr and making the shirk and doing the wizardry or being a mage, just the general concept of being around that type of atmosphere and enjoying it and finding pleasure in it, and that weakening your hatred for it and your hatred for the people who do it. Now, that's a very long discussion in itself. What our Mashaykh in Medina will talk about, min madahiri ضعف الكفر بالطاغوت, from the things that are manifested, the manifestations of weak hatred of Taghut and the people of the Taghut. Certain things that we wear, certain drinks that we drink, foods that we eat, places that we go. We want to go visit and look at this ancient civilization and go to this museum. Not saying that each and every act is haram like this, but the concept of the hatred of the people of kufr and shirk among many of us is what? Is weak. And there are different manifestations of that weakness. There are different what? Manifestations of that weakness. So if a person really hates sihr and knows the evil of sihr and the people who make sihr, is it possible for you to play a video game with it and you're pretending to be a sahir and general problems, So I would say to avoid it and stay away from it, whether it's haram or not, to play a game in which you're acting like a wizard. Whether it's haram or not, I would advise you to stay away from it. Also the concept of books, whether it's Harry Potter or other fantasy books or other novels that pertain to sorcery or wizardry, etc. Just because they're talking about sihr and they're practicing sihr in the story, it doesn't mean that you're doing sihr. It doesn't necessitate that. It does not necessitate that. Nor does it necessitate that you fall under the hadith, man ata sahiran, he who goes to a sorcerer, man ata kahinan, he who goes to a diviner, a soothsayer, a palm reader, a spiritual guide, they say, Everybody understand this? It doesn't necessarily, in my humble opinion, mean that you're included in that. And then you ask them about something, whether you believe them or believe them not. Going to a soothsayer or a tarot card reader and asking them is one level. And then believing them is a whole different level. But the sheer fact of going to them and asking them, hadith prohibits that. Does that mean if I read a book about a mythical or a fantasy story about a sorcerer or a sorcerer's apprentice or the philosopher's stone or whatever, the magician's stone or whatever they call it, does that mean, is that the same thing? Allahu Alam if you can say that. But regardless of the fact, be mindful of your time, be mindful of having love for the kuffar and for their ways and things like this. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.